over 100 people come to City Hall this morning. So thank you all for turning out. Always says, City Hall is your building. So we welcome all people with disabilities to the city. It's a City Hall Plaza. It's to stay involved with this. And we turn it over to my boss, the person who's above me, my cabinet chief, Daphne Griffin. She's the head of the Boston Centers for Youth and Families. So I'd like Daphne to say a few words. Daphne?
Thank you. This is such an amazing turnout for this day. And I think as the commissioner has mentioned, 23 years ago this week, we're celebrating not only today, ADA, but we need to celebrate the enforcement every single day. And so what we're excited to do is all of the opportunities that Commissioner McCosh and team, we're so thankful for all of the partners that have come out to provide resources and information for the community, but making sure that every opportunity and equity of opportunity continues to be at the forefront, not only for the commission, not only for the city, but for each of us as individuals, because that's what we want, certainly not only for our communities, but for our children and our families, to make sure that we continue each and every single day to celebrate the enforcement of ADA and make sure that we as individuals continue to strive to make sure that those opportunities are those available for all citizens of the community. There's no greater champion for not only Americans with Disability Act, but for the equity of opportunity program resources and celebration of those things that are possible in this city than the next person that I have the honor to introduce. We are so grateful, one, because it was his vision and his selection that brought Kristen McCosh along. So I just want to, again, a huge round of applause, because I think for the work that Kristen McCosh is doing as commissioner, it's amazing. And again, I would have to say that I can't wait for next year and see what this is going to blow up to. I don't know that this is going to hold everybody, Kristen. We're going to need a much bigger space. But these opportunities are celebrated and supported by the champion of the city, and that's our next speaker. Please join me in welcoming our very own Thomas M. Menino.
Thank you, Daphne, for that introduction. It's really a pleasure to be here this afternoon. Everybody talks about next year. I'm not going to be here next year. Maybe I'll get invited. Hope you're here, Kristen. Let me just say, it's really a pleasure to be here this morning. All the work that Commissioner McCosh has done over the last 3 years. Also, the Disability Commission Advisory Board, they're here. Raise your hands from the advisory board that's here.
Benjamin, chairperson.
Okay, yeah. Who else? Members
They're all volunteering.
all volunteering. Let me tell you, if I had Kristen McCosh as my commissioner when I first started, we wouldn't have any accessibility issues in the city of Boston. She's done a marvelous job over the last 3 years making Boston more accessible. And we're all here because we're celebrating the 23rd anniversary of the American with Disability Act. The civil rights law, they all know that prevents discrimination against people with disability. But let me just say that we still have some issues out there we must deal with. The issue of accessibility. There was a time, not long ago, when people with disabilities didn't feel welcome to take part in our government activities. Today, I don't think that's no longer true. I want to send the message loud and clear. All people are welcome in the city of Boston. Some of the things we've done under Commissioner McCosh's leadership, we made a real commitment to access all the cities. Some of our current initiatives are inspecting the city wheelchair accessibility taxi fleet. She goes in all those taxis. To bring cabs into compliance, improve taxi service for customers with disabilities. Improving access to the Freedom Trail, including sidewalks, curb cuts, wayfinders, and historic buildings. Upgrading accessibility in the city's emergency shelters and setting up a volunteer functional needs registry to help identify people with disabilities in an emergency. We continue to improve City Hall. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They improved recently.
In addition to the access path that was dedicated over there last summer, we recently installed audio loop system so people who are hard of hearing can be fully included in government business. That's a real accomplishment. This summer we are providing 10 internship opportunities at City Hall to people with disabilities. There's one down back there. Including several youth with a vast rehab commission. Last summer, listen to this, several of those interns were hired into full-time positions. And now with my friend David Sordo, we are building a beautifully new, fully accessible playground next to Spalding Rehab. This is a display of the playground is over there. We still have some work to do. Can't be satisfied. We need to do more. As we move forward, we need to think about access more broadly. Not just about ramps and handicap parking. It's about schools. It's about jobs. It's about recreation. It's all those things. Our goal is to make Boston a place where people with disabilities can live, learn, work, and visit. Every expectation of access, acceptance, and enjoyment. Let us continue to work together. Why this happened, Commissioner McCosh, got everyone together. We never had that.
Yes, all of the staff and all of the board of directors of Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital, we will accept this in support of all of what we do for our patients and their families. You know, core to our mission at Spalding is our commitment to improving quality of life for people with disabilities. So we do that, you know, everyone knows, through our patient care, through our teaching, through our research, but really key is our advocacy, which has become very central to who we are. And so we need to advocate with others, with all of you. We need to advocate with key constituencies, and there's no one more key than Mayor Menino and the city of Boston in being great partners in working to create this level of accessibility for the city of Boston that will be surpassed by none across the nation. So thank you so much. We really, really do appreciate this great honor.
Oswald Mondahar. More commonly known as Oz. Oz is the Vice President for Mission and Advocacy at Partners Continuing Care, the non-acute care division of Partners Healthcare System. Oz?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Mayor Menino and Commissioner McCosh, for this invitation to be part of the City of Boston's 2013 Americans with Disabilities Act Celebration Day. I am also honored and humbled to be included in this significant event. I chose the word included intentionally, as inclusion is what the Americans with Disabilities Act is all about. Inclusion of people with disabilities, inclusion of those that are often marginalized, inclusion of people who may be perceived as being different, when in fact we have more in common than not. Our mayor is a forward thinker in many arenas, including inclusion. He has demonstrated his respect for all citizens throughout his work with the GLBT community, the elderly, new settlers to the city, children, the economically disenfranchised, and yes, people with disabilities. This is just simply to identify a few underrepresented groups. He has brought us all together to a new place where recognizing and celebrating differences is part of what makes Boston such a rich and special community. Surveying the landscape of the Americans with Disabilities Act, we continue to see applications for this legislation. The areas of employment, accessibility, transportation, public services, telecommunications, and accommodations have all been improved for those of us with disabilities. The beauty of the ADA shines as its implications rise above setting the standards for all. These areas for daily life for people with disabilities. The Americans with Disabilities Act has made the United States a more universally accessible and navigable nation. and that is a win for all of us. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that although Boston is a beautiful old city with challenging infrastructure, we are making progress in improving accessibility and, equally important, in raising the awareness of what needs to be done. And I do turn to our dear Commissioner McCosh for her leadership. The ADA is a testimony to those who fought in disability rights movement, a battle for equal treatment, inclusion, and access. And I bow to all of you in the audience who led the way. This is a story of individuals making a difference, of a grassroots movement that found federal level strength through the Civil Rights Act. The relentless voices and advocacy from all sectors of the disability community together drove the way of influence, resulting in an incredibly significant piece of legislation. July 26, 1990 stands as a day among days for all of us, not only for people with disabilities. Since the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act, people with disabilities have the opportunity to plan their lives as contributing members of their communities, attending school, working, spending time with family and friends, or enjoying cultural and athletic resources that are now becoming increasingly available to all of us. Accidents and illness occur daily, leaving some with temporary disabilities and others with new way of life as people with more permanent disabilities. As the baby boomer ripple continues to reach advanced ages, more and more people with this will appreciate the improvements to daily life that the ADA has made possible. We all know someone whose life has improved thanks to the ADA and the protections and enhancement it offers. The Americans with Disabilities Act has opened doors for the community. Whether you are a person with a disability or not, integration of people with disabilities is far more visible than it was 23 years ago. In employment, schools, access to voting, and other areas of life where people of all abilities choose to pursue their dreams and enrich their lives. I believe that everyone benefits from diversity, and thanks to the ADA, the community with disabilities is able to contribute and benefit alongside their neighbors. And let us remember that the spending power of the community of disability exceeds $220 billion. Advocacy is another thread that joins us together today. We all have a responsibility to advocate for people with disabilities because we can make a difference by working together. The goal of any advocate is to ensure that people have a voice in the outcome of any situation. As often is said, nothing about me without me. So write a letter when you observe something that doesn't seem right, seize a teachable moment, or answer a curious kid's question. All of this moves us forward together. Our mayor leads by example. He is omnipresent in the city, and the residents appreciate his participation and engagement in all sorts of events, meetings, activities, and around the city. His personal investment reflects how he sees value in making connections and doing the work, and this will be his legacy. One particular lesson that I learned from the mayor's example was on Saturday, April 20th of this year. Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital has a new home in Charlestown, and then the opening ceremony was postponed from the prior evening due to the stay-in-place order during the manhunt related to the Boston Marathon bombings. The mayor was gracious enough to adjust his schedule to allow him to attend the Spalding event, in the midst of all that was happening in the city, including planning in time to speak at the event. As he approached the platform, I was struck by the fact that he chose to use a wheelchair rather than to walk to the podium. This was a very visual reminder that temporary disability happens to many of us, and at any moment could happen to anyone. His choice to use a wheelchair showed support, connection, and advocacy to the disability community, and I was personally moved by this. I am thrilled to be a resident of this great city, and a Cuban resident of this great city, and I am proud of our mayor, who has done such good work to improve access for those who live, work, and play here. I also applaud the Commission for Persons with Disability and the great work they do every day. Everyone here today and across this great country has a part to play in furthering the work of the ADA. Taking a day to celebrate this remarkable law is certainly important and the right thing to do, as this ceremony makes us pause to remember and revel from where we came from. And we know not to stop here. Equally important are the actions we take on a daily basis. Thinking and acting inclusively continues the work of all those who contributed to bringing the ADA to its existence. While the ADA provides a firm foundation, it's its people who bring this work to life. In conclusion, I would like to leave you with a challenge, and the challenge is to choose to do something that improves the life of someone with a disability. The tools are simple. Through advocacy, through inclusion, through integration, the ADA came to be the cumulative actions of many. It's incumbent upon us to keep the momentum going. Let's go beyond compliance, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Commissioner McCosh and the City of Boston for celebrating the ADA. My name is Colleen Flanagan. I have the privilege to work for Easter Seals, Massachusetts as their youth program manager. And you might have seen a lot of black t-shirts floating around here. These are young people between the ages of 14 and 26, and I see people coming in every minute. These are people with disabilities who are the next generation of leaders. These are people who have always had the ADA behind their back, and they're here to say to have a message. They're here to stop bullying on the grounds of disability. There are too many young people afraid to be in special education. There's too many young people afraid of their identity. And we're here, Easter Seals Youth Leadership Network, to provide unity, support, and mentoring. And they're here to share a message with you today. And as they share their message, which they'll do after I count to 3, they're going to walk over here and they invite you to join them in a circle game of parachute to show that we all are affected by disability, and it's not a bad thing, and it should not be a reason that young people are bullied in school.
Right.
So, I'll be quiet, and I'm going to let the Easter Seals Youth Leadership Network share their message on 1, 2, 3.
Me. I have ability. This me. I have ability. This me. What? I have ability. This me. I have ability. This me. I have ability. This me. Help us!
These young people need jobs and they have ability. Start to walk this way, towards parachute.
I have ability. This me. I have ability. This me. I have ability.
Thank you everybody for supporting the ADA generation and youth with disabilities.
Go!